Welcome to the first ever episode at EKU of the Nostalgia Show. I am your host, Eldridge, as I actually have a other nostalgia show on Facebook called Eldridge and Blackburn Nostalgia Show. With our very first episode, I really want to talk about Disney remakes because there's one that is getting a lot of hate, and that is Snow White. Now, I'm not a big fan. I've seen the previews. I've heard what the lead actress has said. But here's the thing. Why are we remaking all-time cartoon classics? Why are we going forward with this when the cartoon classics should be just left alone? And I'm not just talking Snow White. That's a whole other thing. My thing about that is they're going away from the fairy tale. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a fairy tale. And now you're messing with it like other film distributors have done in the past. They have messed with Snow White, try to make it their own. My thing is, I'm okay with the lead being the brave warrior. I'm okay with that. But why can't you just rename it? I mean, that's a fair question. Why not just call it something else? Why do you have to go after the first ever animated film that Walt Disney had? What is the point? And then you have The Lion King. Oh boy. The Lion King, to me, the cartoon was sacred. You shouldn't have touched it. Due to the reason of, due to the reason of, you had no, expressions on the face of the animals. You had nothing. It was absolutely nothing. I understand you're trying to make it look like real life, but in cartoons, you went by the emotion of the look. I mean, when Mufasa was coming down to save Simba from that herd, Simba, you saw the fear in his eyes in the cartoon. You saw none of that in the live action film. Now, I may sound like a huge hater, but again, why can't we come up with new concepts? Like Mufasa, that's never been done before. I'm for that. I'm okay with that. That film is actually decent. But why do we have to recycle stuff just to make money? Why can't you come up with new things? Why do you have to go after the stuff that was great as an animated film? Beauty and the Beast, great animated film. Live action, not so much. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I liked, Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi. I loved him as Lumiere, but other than that, wasn't a fan. Then you have Little Mermaid. It was okay. It wasn't great. In Aladdin. Aladdin just totally was a total letdown for me. I didn't understand Will Smith as Genie. Will Smith is a great actor, but that was Robin Williams. That was his. And I think that should have been left alone. Now you talk about the one that started all, Cinderella. I watched 15 minutes of it and turned it off. I mean, 15 minutes is not very long in a film, especially when the film's almost 2 hours. But it's just, to me, you are recycling stuff that doesn't need to be recycled. And it's not just Disney. I want to say that right now. It's not, it may sound like it's just Disney from my end, but it's not. It's everyone else that tries to recreate an animated film, and it falls flat. And the reason it falls flat is because it's not like the animated film. Now, Lilo and Stitch, I watched the commercial for that yesterday. To me, it looks good, but again, I'll have to wait till I see it in theaters, because Lilo and Stitch for me was amazing. And I grew up loving Disney. And my thing is, the whole thing with Disney and other corporations, and I keep saying it because I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. You got to come up with new concepts for films. You can't rely on nostalgia to bring people to the movies. You just can't. And like how they're redoing Harry Potter. Don't get me started on that. You know, I'm a huge Harry Potter guy. I have the books, have the films. Absolutely incredible. But why do we need a TV series? We already know what happens. Why do we need a TV series of 7 seasons for Harry Potter when we already have the films, or already have the books? What's the point of a TV series? I don't understand. Now, maybe someone can shed light on that, but I have a huge problem with that, because I feel like in a corporation, you have to move on to bigger, better things. And the way you do that is that you come up with new concepts, new films, new TV shows. You don't have to recycle stuff. This is why we have syndicated television, so we could go back and watch the old stuff. And that's what I do. I watch Old Big Bang. I watch Young Sheldon that just ended last year. I still watch all the Mighty Ducks. I am glad to say that I have a friend in Sean Weiss, who played Goldberg. I interviewed him about a month ago. Heck of a story. And, this is why we have those syndicated TV and apps, so we can watch the old stuff. You don't have to remake it. You don't. There's no reason for it. You just want the greedy almighty dollar, and that's a problem. Because at one point or another, and I know this show's called Nostalgia Show, but at one point, nostalgia's not going to save your films anymore. And that's the truth. I mean, we have some great films that I wish would never be touched. And there's one film that hasn't been touched, and I hope never gets touched. And it's not even a Disney film. Wizard of Oz. Now, my producer can quote me on this. If Wizard of Oz, I want you to hear this, producer. If Wizard of Oz gets remade, I'm gonna go ballistic. I'm gonna go nuts. we've had Oz Great and Powerful. That was okay. But if they redo Wizard of Oz, it's a no-go. I promise you, it's a no-go. I mean, what do you think on that? Like, it's very hectic for me, to understand why people are redoing these films when they don't need to.
So, hello. There we go. So, I love Wizard of Oz. I studied it in my film class here, but I mean, I want them to they can make new stories with the same characters, like you said with Oz Great and Powerful and Wicked.
Yes.
They're not remaking it.
No.
So I think Wizard of Oz is one of those timeless classics you can't remake. Like, I kind of get live action remakes. They're just retelling the old story, but I would much rather them make new stories rather than rehashing old ones.
See, and that's the whole point of this. This is what I'm saying. I mean, I would, if you wanted to do another Snow White, by all means do it. Like Snow White and the Huntsman, that was its own story. But Mirror, Mirror, not so much. It was kind of the same thing. But you have to make it something else. Because you can't just rely on before. Because what if it falls flat? Like Aladdin. Aladdin flew flat. So did Beauty and the Beast. So what do you do then? And that's my whole thing. You have to come up with new concepts. If you don't, you're not moving forward. I mean, that's just the truth.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I get what you're bringing down. Like, as an avid Disney lover throughout my my past, like, I wouldn't mind live action remakes of some of the underappreciated classics, like Emperor's New Groove. That would be great.
Yes, I'd love that, actually.
I would love that.
Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to see that, because that did not get enough love when it was around, when it first came out. I love it. Now, with Lilo and Stitch, like I said, I've seen the commercial. It looks good, and I hope it's good.
Yeah.
Because that's something I want to do well.
Yeah.
Because that's, I grew up on Lilo and Stitch. I grew up on Emperor's New Groove. I mean, I would love to see an Emperor's New Groove. I think that would be fantastic.
I'd love that. But, like, you have your classic stories like Cinderella, Snow White, Little Mermaid. Those are classic storybook fairy tales. And we know those stories growing up, even besides the movies. Like Emperor's New Groove and Lilo and Stitch, brand new stories. Shrek, brand new story. Like, for Shrek, for instance, they're continuing the story, not adding to it. I mean, redoing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it can get a little bit stale by continuously making sequels that don't need to be made. Like, I didn't think Frozen 2 needed to be made, but I liked it. They had some good stuff.
Yeah, I will say that. Frozen and Frozen 2 grew on me.
I liked Frozen 2. And then, let me think. I can't think of any others off the top of my head right now. But, like you said, Wizard of Oz, they don't need to remake it. I very much appreciate different ways to tell the story, like with Wicked and Oz Great and Powerful. But
which I was surprised Wicked, the film, was as good as the play.
Oh, I was
very surprised. I went in thinking that it wasn't as good as the play because I love the play. I've seen the play live, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I hope it's good. I walk in, blown away. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
I loved it. The cast was great. The music was great. I just loved it, and it made me appreciate Wizard of Oz more. Like the universe that it's in.
And I mean, I'd love to get a film with Dorothy older, that she goes back.
That'd be cool.
I'd love that. Now, but if you're going to remake it, get out of here. No, that ain't going to happen. But, this is why I wanted this for the first episode, because I want to get this out of the way. You know what I mean? Because that's the the take right now is Snow White's coming out. Everybody's just like, oh, no, I don't want this. It was time to hit this. And I promise you all, this will be a much lighter and happier show. I guarantee that. We're going to have people on with us a few times. Thank you to my producer for this episode of the very first one. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all very much for watching. This has been an edition of the Nostalgia Show at Eastern Kentucky University. See you guys.